Hallo Wartower! Die Gamescom ist zu Ende und die 5 Spotlight-Folgen eigentlich auch, aber wir haben da noch 2 Interviews, die wir euch nicht vorenthalten wollen. Und zwar beide zum Thema Aion. Einmal ganz allgemein zum Patch 1.5 und das andere zur Lokalisierung von Aion für den deutschen bzw. für den europäischen Markt. Viel Spaß! Ja, hallo Aion-Fans! Ich sitze hier mit Yang Chang, Lead Game Designer von Aion, und Kevin wird das Ganze für uns übersetzen. Hello you guys.
Hello.
Hello. So last year in Leipzig we had some info material of the game. The stigma system was shown to us. Now 1 year has passed and there's a Korean version number 1.5. So a lot has changed. Can you give us some details about it?
Okay, well, a lot of quality upgrade, of course, has been going on since 1 year, and as you all know, it's been launched since in Korea. It's been launched in last November, so there's been a lot of upgrade and a lot of changes going on, and a lot of things being added. Especially among the contents that's been added, we had a lot of instance dungeons that's been added to the game, included to the game. And among those instance dungeons, we have one that includes PvP inside the instance dungeons. So you'll have actually both factions inside the same instance dungeon, raiding for the same boss monster, and at the same time you can fight each other and see who survives.
That sounded a lot of fun. Since 1.5 we have in the European version a much higher focus on storytelling. So with new quests, with much more background information. Can you tell us a little bit about the new story?
Sure. Actually, to tell you the truth, the story itself has just begun. So with 1.5 will be the point that will develop into the real story of the game. So you'll see soon enough how the story develops, and the storytelling and the quest will show you how the lore of Aion will develop in the future. I misunderstood what he was saying. He was mentioning that the stories that began in 1.0 in the first version of Aion has been just concluded in 1.5, and so 1.5 will begin a new story within Aion. So you'll be able to see a lot of new stories and a lot of new storytelling going on there.
Okay, as we recently discovered a special edition for the Korean players for 1.5 with extravagant wings and new reskinned models. Will European player be able to purchase something similar?
Okay, we are still talking about what to be included in each country, but what I can say for sure is that it will depend all in the country. According to the region and the countries, we'll have different items and different different things that will be added into the game, included to the game. For example, the things that you have mentioned about South Korea, I'm still not sure if it's going to be the same thing that will be provided for the Europeans and the North Americans, but I'm sure that they will have another something to be wearing or for equipped.
Okay, do you have a release date for the European and especially the German launch yet fixed?
Yes, the dates are fixed. We'll have a launch in North America in September 22nd, and in Europe it will be launched in September 25th.
Okay, thank you much for this interview. Also ihr seht, die nächsten paar Monate werden spannend. Aion wird auf dem Markt erscheinen und es wird ein paar Überraschungen geben. Jetzt sitze ich hier neben Brian Knox, dem Produzenten des Spiels für die westliche Welt. Brian, how do you translate and localize Aion for the European and especially for the German community? We've got some games at the market like World of Warcraft, which focus detailed on the language they try to introduce into the game, special culture-related items you can't translate. So we've got a stand-up comedian named Helge Schneider in the German version. How do you realize something like this for Aion?
So we kind of take the approach of something we call culturalization, and so we take everything that was translated from Korean into English, and what we take with that is we try and get the general concept and design of every story, every mission within Aion, and then we take it for the entire Western market, whether that's German, French, or English, and then with that we can create kind of like our own text that's still keeps in theme with the same story, because Aion still has a global appeal in terms of its story. it's just the little things like you had mentioned, like the humor within each culture, you know, pop culture references. All those things are kind of lost when you translate a game, and so we call this the culturalization. And so we have a team of, you know, 14 writers that, you know, have all sorts of different backgrounds with German, French, English, that are, you know, in the process of making it more culturally relevant for our territories. And then once we have that kind of general idea decided for all the Western territories, at that point then do we start, you know, the polish into the final pass of English, the final pass of French, and the final pass of German.
Okay, thank you very much. Es sieht also gut aus für die Übersetzung. So, das war das neue Material, diesmal untertitelt. Das war ein großer Wunsch von euch, dass wir nicht mehr drüber sprechen, sondern dass wir Untertitel benutzen, was natürlich ein bisschen aufwendiger ist. Ein weiterer vielfacher Wunsch war das Aion Interview von Spotlight Folge 3 nochmals zu haben, diesmal in der Original-Tonspur. Und während ich mich hier von euch verabschiede, läuft das jetzt gleich im Anschluss an dieses Video. Tschüss und viel Spaß damit.
My name is Brian Knox. I'm the producer of Aion, and I'm going to be giving you a demo of what's new and changed in the upcoming 1.5 update for Aion. So this is going to be our launch version, and we spent a lot of time on it, and we're pretty happy with where we've come with it. It's got a lot of the feedback from the Western audiences, and we think that it's going to end up, you know, satisfying a lot of the areas that, you know, our players were really asking for in Aion. So I'm going to start off with some of the changes that we made for the character creation. One of the first things we did was actually add a bunch of new base face types, and these face types will actually kind of serve as a basis for players, you know, to kind of create and mold their own. But we wanted to give people kind of a basis to show what is possible. And you know, there's a lot more Western faces that have been added in this version, as you can tell as I'm kind of flipping through all of these here. So we've also added the ability to change your eye color in this version. You know, we still have all the numerous sliders to do, you know, whatever you please with the face. We've added 2 new body sliders with the arm length and the leg length. And what this has kind of allowed us to make a couple different body types, from, you know, the muscular body to the stout dwarf body, which you can really start to kind of beef up and make him look a little bit, you know, kind of fatter here. Let's see what he does if I do everything except that down. There we go. Kind of fun. I saw, you know, kind of a little chunkier body. There we go. Another thing that we've added was the ability to, you know, make sure that we had a consistent naming convention, so that you're not running around the game looking at number, pound, 4. You know, you're going to be looking at somebody with, you know, a specific, you know, name in terms of like, yeah, NogXW. Very good.
Can you show us the same procedure with the Asmodeans?
Sure. Yeah, I can go to the Asmodean side. So let's go. So I'll show you some of the new Asmodean faces that we've added as well. You can see that this race is just a little bit different. They've kind of got claws, the glowing red eyes, the mane of hair down their back. Here's another, you know, new Western face that has been added. See all the different ones. You can see all the sliders change, so you can kind of use that as a basis for everything. So once again, you know, you got the same sort of, you know, bodies here. Go with the muscular body here. So like I said, the naming convention now is Mucrus. You also have the different voices you can add: tough, callous, youth. Let's go ahead and create the character and enter the world here with Mucrus. And when you actually start the game now, there's going to be a prologue video that plays, and this is going to set the tone and the story for the player. You know, a lot of our feedback was, who am I in this game, and what am I doing, and, you know, where do I need to be headed? And so we've got this voiced over story that's going to be both, you know, in all 3 languages: German, French, and English. So this is available online, so I'm going to go ahead and skip through it here to get to the character. When you first log in, the first thing you'll notice actually is the question marks that are appearing. This help system will actually play videos with a voiceover that kind of helps, you know, the newbie kind of get into the world and make sure that they can see everything without having to read, you know, tons and tons of text. And, you know, it presents it in a very easy manner for the user to see. These will pop up through level 20, you know, based off of different things that you do or click. So the number one requested change or feedback from the Western audience actually was the ability to rotate the camera with the left mouse button. So we've added that ability in 1.5. It'll be defaulted as on. It'll also be defaulting off the ability to click to move. All these things can be adjusted in the options menu, but when you first log in, it's important that our Western players feel at home with the game and something that they're familiar with. And so you'll notice right away that by doing this, we're setting it, in a type of state that the user's ready to do. So our questing system has been rewritten a few times since probably even the last time. We weren't satisfied and we kept going and going and going. We've got a 14-man writing team that has many published fantasy authors, and it's important to us that we have a very high level of quality in all 3 of our languages. And we're spending a lot of time and resources in ensuring that it's a well localized game. So see right here, I located a person, and so I could tells me to go over here. I'm gonna go ahead and log out and show something a little bit higher level. Okay, so, whoops, there we go. I have my character here, level 50 Ranger, and I'm actually at the core abyss. You can see some of the Balar here behind me. And so some of the changes in the Abyss have been the adding of some instances within the fortresses that you occupy. So there's 9 fortresses you can occupy, and 8 of them have the ability to enter a dungeon based around them in your ownership. And these will, provide different loots and experiences for each player. And so you can see right now that, there's also kind of a path that comes in for this Balar Dredgian. It's this warship that drops down all these, Balar things. And so I'm going to play a cutscene here that kind of explains exactly what you're going to get in a new instance. Okay, so that kind of sets the tone for, we found a way to infiltrate the ship, but so has the other faction as well. So this is a PvPvE instance. It's new to Aion here and the 1.5 update. And what this means is that you'll have 2 factions competing for points to win the instance, and you'll be getting these points by PvP kills, Balar or PvE kills, captured areas, as well as just your total Abyss points. So if you look right here at the map, still, we're in the process of localizing it, so bear with me here. But we've got the Elios up here, and we have the Asmodean down here, and they will be competing for each of these areas. Each of these areas can be taken over, and by taking them over, you earn those specific points. And by the end, you can get there, and there's a main boss monster here, but there's also some mini bosses along the way, all of which will add to your total point score. So there's kind of this PvE competition, but also PvP. So you could break your group in half, focus some on PvE and some on PvP. You could make a direct dash for a full-out PvP, or you could just kind of stay back and play defensive and work your way through with PvE as well. So it's kind of up to the user, how they wish to play this instance, and it's only been out for about a week now, and players are already surprising the developers with how they're going through and their tactics in this instance. So one of the other major updates and changes is actually the stigma system with 1.5, and 1.5 added the advanced stigma, and the advanced stigma is finally kind of our realization of where we want stigma to be in this game. We had class enhancing stigma stones, but it never really was class defining. And so we now finally have some ways that people can define their class and be truly unique within their own class. So you'll notice right here that I've taken kind of this path of, to get the arrow of fury. But I could have chosen another path and gone up here or this one instead. It's really kind of up to the user to find these different combinations that they feel are best suited for each situation. In some situations it might be, kind of a neutral, situation. Like for instance, the chanter can be more focused on melee and damage, or maybe even a little bit more buffs and healing with the other route. I'm going to run down here and I'll kind of give you a little bit of a visual showcase of the zone. Let's see. These are the little control points that you have to actually take over, and you do that by destroying it. And when you destroy it, it'll turn your color on the map and, put out an announcement that you've taken it over. You actually have the ability to kind of find these bosses in each zone, and it's like kind of a random chance that you'll get them. So like this guy's kind of, I would say rare. I've only seen him in a couple of the demos that I've been doing today. So pretty cool looking. Bosses will give you more points as well. Kind of see it's kind of a little twisty and turny maze, so you could kind of get yourself turned around in here as you're chasing the other faction around for PvP. So right now I'm in Poeta, which is the starting zone for the Eleos, and I'm going to show you, an instance that kind of takes this scene and puts a new twist on it, and we're calling Dark Poeta. And so Dark Poeta is kind of a reimagining of the zone if the Balar had come through the Abyss Gate and actually taking over the zone. So you can see right away that, a little bit different than the picture you had just seen. You can see there's some boss monsters down here that you need to, attack the different healing powers to, get to the boss. You can see the Balar scattered in and throughout. This zone is also based off of a point system. You'll notice right here that the more points you get, then the better boss encounter at the end that you'll get. So you could rush through to the end and do this instant in a pretty quick manner, but your reward won't be as good as if you take the time to really up your score. So it kind of adds a hardcore and casual element to the same gameplay and adds some replayability as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to head to a mini boss encounter here to show you a little bit of the boss dynamics. There's a lot of different bosses with the new 1.5 update, in all the different instances. There's, bosses that'll drop bombs from the ceiling that you have to destroy before they, kill your area. Or there's, some bosses that'll play music that, will summon different monsters to them. This guy actually right here is going to be hitting me with some area effect stuns, as well as summoning some of his buddies to come help him, and picking me up and throwing me to the ground. And this kind of, goes back to the, visceral feel of Aion, where they really kind of throw you around and show you everything that's kind of cool in the world. You don't feel like you're just planted on 2 feet. It's a truly 3D environment. So I'll go ahead and start talking about the gear here while I kill this person. So you'll notice that I'm, doing more damage than you could ever possibly want to do as a player, and so you guys can all sit and dream while you look at this right now. So up here is actually what we're calling an eternal weapon, and so we have 5 levels of weapons and armors in the game, and it's common, superior, heroic, fabled, and eternal. And eternal is the newest one added on 1.5, and you can see it has 5 mana stone sockets, a bunch of cool stats, really quite good. So the other thing we've added is class armor quests, and so this is a set actually that'll add different effects to you as you go, and it'll every class will have their own set that's unique to them. And so the sets are a pretty cool thing to try and collect. This instance itself actually has a set that is a rare drop off of all the mini bosses, and so you can actually take your time to select all of them. So that about wraps it up for what I wanted to show you today in 1.5. So thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it.